But what do you think is holding your African Americans from here to connect with countries in Africa?
Hmm. Um, I, the most obvious thing would be and I say we because I guess I'm not straddling both sides. I like straddling on the fence. I've just lived both lives. So if I say we, it's like being here. You're not taught anything good about Africa. So when you're not taught anything good about a place, why would you set your goals, save your money, whatever, to go to this place?
Right.
That wouldn't make sense if you didn't go deeper into the reasons why you haven't been taught about this place. So it takes what you're doing right now is cool. Just bridging that gap, causing networking, causing relationships. Because I remember having conversations a little after my teens into my 20s and realizing how there was, I called myself an African, but because I was born here and most of my life was here, until I told people I was African, they just saw me as another Black American.
Right.
But because I know who I am, I would see that there is a gap in that relationship. Like people say, it's just a joke being called African booty scratcher, being called Shaka. When I was younger, being called Shaka Zulu, it hurt for a second because they weren't seeing Shaka Zulu as the warrior king that he was. Exactly. They were seeing him as some primitive dude. So that part annoyed and hurt. Until I got older, I could have had a better comeback to that. And then the African booty scratcher, yeah, they're just joking, but they don't mean it as anything good. They're calling you that. Having some white person, some Spanish person, whatever, call you that, and then having your own people call you that, and then hearing, hey, they just came to take our jobs. It wasn't only for Mexicans. That it became a Mexican thing now, but it was a lot of Africans that were here working jobs that nobody wanted. And there would be people not having work. And maybe it's because, not maybe it's because of the way the system is. So sometimes because we came with respect, they would see us as, oh, the good Black people. Because we didn't have to deal with the white supremacy in America. We had our own issues with colonization and neo-colonization, but we were escaping that. So we got here and we're on some, hey, we're in America, we'll do anything to make the money to send back home. That was the plan for most people anyway.
Right.
But then now we're clashing with each other because the whites in America, the higher ups anyway, are saying, oh yeah, you're not like that. Though we're all Black and we're all African descent, but you're not like that. So now we have that division. So now already they don't know anything good about Africa. They see Africans as not liking them, which still happens. But I even see it on your the last live you did, well, the one before the last. There were some people hopping in there saying things like, hey, they don't want us there anyway, or oh, they should give us our section of the country anyway. Stuff like that. That division is still there. So what you're doing, hopefully I don't want to say trying because we're doing it. Hopefully people will receive it properly. We're just showing that it can be done. Continental African, African in Britain, African in Germany, African in Australia, African in America. We can get together if we want the same thing. The people who want growth in Africa want it. We just have different ways of seeing it. Because if you're leaving here, you might think that the way an African's doing it is wrong.
Yeah.
So the reason why it's tougher for them to go, I would say, is the education. We don't have much of it, so you have to get into that yourself. If you really want to know what's happening in Africa, find out yourself. And get to know some Africans. Like, get to know them. Don't go by the surface of people say when they go to Ghana, oh man, they're so nice. But over here, someone might say, man, they're mad rude because they're standoffish. They don't want to get into that with you. From what they know, watching the movies, you're a gangster. You don't want to work. And I'm not saying that this is right. This is what we're seeing.
So
Yeah,
it's just,
absolutely.
Yeah, so there's no understanding. Ultimately, everything I'm trying to say right now, we have to want
Right.
to know.
Yeah.
And when you want to know, you put in the work.
Yeah. You make
It's
a great
really,
point. You make a great point about African Americans seeing or viewing Africans here in the United States as standoffish. And part of the reason why is that media narrative that has been played for decades and decades as African Americans being thugs and whatnot. I remember years ago, there was a cousin of mine who had just moved to the US from Ghana. Well, she lived in England for a while, for maybe a few months, and then she came to the US. And she stayed in the Bronx for a little while. And she said she was scared of African American men because they'd always be walking around in heavy coats and have a beanie on or on something like that in the wintertime.
yeah.
And she said she would she'd see news reports of violence in the media, and it was always black men. And because of that, she was scared. She didn't want to approach black men or be friendly towards them and whatnot. And it's because of media narrative.
Correct.
So Africans always think negatively towards African Americans because of this. So yeah, that's go ahead.
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna tap in there. Because like when I would meet a lot of your aunts like for the first time and family members, like maybe at a function, and they would be like, "Oh, you're American? Like, where are you from?" And I'd be like, "Jersey City." And they're like, "Oh, you're American?" Like in shock, like you're nice and normal and you're like normal because I'm not normal, but like are you sure? Like you're American?
Right,
Oh,
yeah.
we thought you were from somewhere
Like,
else.
where are your people from?
Like, where are
You know
your
what I'm saying?
parents from? And I'm
Right.
like, Virginia and Washington, D.C. And they're like, what? Like, it was shocking to them that like,
Yeah.
it was like a novelty that
Yeah,
there's
they had a story in their mind of how a black woman from America is supposed to act, and sound. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and the thing Africans don't understand is that African Americans are not a monolith. They're not all what you see in the media and the newspapers, and and even going to an HBCU, I didn't really know that because the area that I lived at in Massachusetts was a white community. So I went to a high school with mostly white people, and then I went to an HBCU. It was a stark contrast because I got to see that black people are very, very different. Black people in California are different from black people on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So yeah, it was an enlightening experience being at an HBCU. Yeah.
I could imagine.
Yeah.